He was once the golden boy of pop, from a teenager discovered on YouTube to a global superstar. Justin Bieber's story reads like a fairy tale until it doesn't. Behind the glittering success, private jets, screaming fans, and platinum records, lies a darker, more complicated truth. A truth that insiders say still haunts him today, especially in his marriage. Justin Bieber recently made a statement that's turning heads. He says he's finally regained his swag, a word he once made iconic in the early 2010s, used to signify confidence, charisma, that effortless cool. But what does regaining his swag really mean for Justin in 2025? For some, it's a sign that the troubled pop star is back on track, healthier, and more focused than he's been in years. But for others, those close to him, it may be a mask. A polished exterior covering wounds that haven't healed. Sources close to the singer describe a man constantly torn between light and shadow, between healing and relapse. While he's publicly embraced faith, sobriety, and his marriage to Hailey Bieber, privately, Justin still wrestles with demons that don't easily let go. Trauma from childhood fame, substance abuse, trust issues, mental health struggles, and the massive pressure of being Justin Bieber every single day. He wants to believe he's past it, one longtime friend reveals. But sometimes, it's like he's playing a role he hasn't fully grown into. He says he's got his swag back, but behind the scenes, the battle never stopped. At the center of that battle is his relationship with Hailey. To the public, they're a picture-perfect couple, fashion-forward, God-fearing, young, and in love. But insiders claim things aren't always as perfect as Instagram makes it seem. The marriage, though deeply committed, has been tested by jealousy, resentment, and communication breakdowns. Hailey's been incredibly patient, says an industry insider. She's stood by him through meltdowns, hospital visits, cancelled tours, anxiety attacks. She's his rock. But even rocks erode under pressure. One major stressor: Justin's fragile self-esteem. Despite the accolades, the fame, the fortune, he often questions his worth. He worries whether he's good enough for Hailey, whether he deserves a normal life, whether he can ever really escape the version of himself that spiraled out of control. In the past, sometimes he tells her, "You deserve better," another source confides. He gets stuck in this loop of guilt. He knows what he put her through, especially during the early days of their marriage. He still carries that. Indeed, the early years were rocky. Behind-the-scenes footage from documentaries shows a Justin who was visibly struggling, shaky hands, slurred words, erratic behavior. His Lyme disease diagnosis brought some answers, but not relief. The real battle was internal. He was dealing with depression, PTSD from childhood fame, and lingering addiction recovery. Hailey, a model and influencer with her own rising star, found herself thrust into the role of caretaker. She wasn't just a wife, one close friend notes. She was his therapist, his nurse, his bodyguard, everything. It took a toll. Though they've worked through a lot, cracks sometimes reappear, especially when Justin feels overwhelmed. The pressure to remain relevant in a cutthroat music industry, the scrutiny from fans and tabloids, The rumors about their relationship, it all compounds, and sometimes it explodes. He'll shut down, says someone who worked on one of his recent projects. He disappears. No calls, no texts, just isolation. And that scares Hailey every time. Yet to the world, he's smiling again, posting goofy videos, singing worship songs, talking about God and gratitude. It's real, but it's also curated. The real story, say those in his inner circle, is much messier. Some say Justin is still triggered by unresolved trauma from his early career. The intense schedule, the exploitation, the lack of boundaries. Fame robbed him of his youth and replaced it with burnout. At 16, he was already being treated like a grown man. The pressure to be perfect, to constantly outperform, to never show weakness, it warped his emotional development. He was a kid, says a former manager, a kid playing a grown man's game, and no one protected him. Not really. That unprocessed trauma often surfaces in his dreams, in his behavior, even in how he reacts to criticism. He's hypersensitive. A single mean tweet can spiral him into self-doubt. A headline suggesting Hailey's unhappy can trigger a whole night of silence and distance. He's trying to build himself up, but the foundation still has cracks. Still, there's progress. Justin's therapy is ongoing. His faith remains his compass. He's cut off toxic friends. He's more selective with collaborations. He's even learning to say no, a word he never knew how to use in his younger years. He's getting stronger, another confidant says. But it's not linear. One day he's high on life. The next, he's questioning everything. That's just how healing works. And then there's the pressure to become a father. Rumors of pregnancy have followed the couple for years. Fans dissect every post Hailey makes. A baggy dress sparks headlines. A cryptic caption fuels speculation. But for Justin, the idea of fatherhood is both thrilling and terrifying. He wants it, says one source. But he's scared of messing up, scared of repeating the cycle. His own father wasn't always there. He doesn't want to be that guy. Hailey, too, has expressed hesitance. Not because she doesn't want kids, but because she knows the emotional bandwidth parenting requires. And right now, a lot of that bandwidth is going towards supporting Justin. They're talking about it. The source adds, but it's not happening tomorrow. So what does it mean when Justin says he's got his swag back? Maybe it's a defense mechanism, a way to reclaim control, a way to push back against the narrative that he's broken, fragile, or lost. Or maybe it's genuine, maybe he really does feel like himself again. Even if it's a version with scars, there's no denying that the man who once egged neighbors' houses and drag raced in Miami is long gone. In his place is someone wiser, more aware, more cautious, but also still hurting. He's become a symbol of both caution and comeback. A reminder that fame doesn't save you, it tests you. That love doesn't erase pain, it offers you a place to heal. And that healing doesn't look like a movie montage. It's ugly. It's slow. It's often invisible. As one insider puts it, he's walking the tightrope, balancing between who he was, who he is, and who he wants to be. Some days, he's got the swag. Other days, He's just surviving. And maybe that's the most honest thing about Justin Bieber in 2025. He's not pretending to be perfect. He's not hiding behind PR teams and plastic smiles. He's showing us what it really looks like to struggle, to grow, to fall in love while falling apart, to chase peace in a world that keeps pulling you back into chaos. The fans see the surface, the hair, the music, the interviews, but behind it is a man still asking questions, still waking up some mornings wondering if he's good enough, still turning to faith, to Hailey, to music, to anything that might quiet the noise. So yes, Justin says he's got his swag back. But it's not the swag of old, not the cocky, unbothered, teenage version. It's a newer, humbler swag, one that's been through the fire, one that knows the value of rest, of boundaries, of real love, one that's not afraid to admit he's still healing. And maybe that's the kind of swag we all need.